What if all money lost its value overnight? Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. Your phone alarm rings. You open your eyes, pick up your phone, and check your bank account. The numbers are still there. Your savings are still there. Your salary is still there. Your wallet is full of cash. Your cards still work. Your payment apps still open. Everything looks normal. But then you walk to a nearby shop to buy milk, bread, or breakfast. You place the money on the counter. And the shopkeeper says, "Sorry, I don't know what this is worth anymore." At first, you laugh. You think it is a joke. So you try another shop. Then another. Then a petrol station. Then a pharmacy. But everywhere, the answer is the same. Nobody wants your money. Not because it disappeared. Not because your bank crashed. Not because your card stopped working. But because, overnight, money lost its value. Welcome to WhiteBoard Lens. Today, we are asking a scary but powerful question. What if all money became useless overnight? Not just one currency. Not just one country. But all money. Cash, coins, bank balances, credit cards, digital wallets, stock prices, loans, salaries, savings, everything. What would happen first? What would people do? What would governments try? And most importantly, why does money have value in the first place? Let's begin with the first morning. The first thing people would feel is confusion. Not panic, confusion. Because money is so deeply connected to daily life that most of us never question it. We don't ask why a piece of paper can buy food. We don't ask why numbers on a screen can pay rent. We don't ask why a plastic card can move thousands of dollars, rupees, euros, pounds, or yen. We just use it. So in the first few hours, people would behave normally. They would go to grocery stores. They would try to order food. They would book taxis. They would buy fuel. They would make online payments. But the problem would not be payment. The problem would be value. A shopkeeper may still have bread. A farmer may still have vegetables. A petrol pump may still have fuel. A pharmacy may still have medicine. But the question becomes, what should they accept in return? If money has no value, then price labels become meaningless. A packet of rice cannot cost $10 because dollars mean nothing. A medicine cannot cost 500 rupees because rupees mean nothing. A liter of petrol cannot cost 2 euros because euros mean nothing. The goods still exist. The need still exists. But the measuring system has broken. It would be like trying to build a house after every measuring tape in the world suddenly lost its markings. How long is 1 meter? How heavy is 1 kilogram? How much is 1 loaf of bread worth? Money is not just something we spend. Money is the ruler we use to measure value. And when that ruler breaks, the world does not instantly become poor. It becomes unable to agree. That is when shops begin to freeze. At first, some shopkeepers may continue selling, hoping the problem is temporary. Others may close immediately. Supermarkets would face a nightmare. Thousands of products, thousands of prices, millions of customers, but no trusted unit of value. Should a bottle of water be exchanged for 2 eggs? Should a packet of flour be exchanged for a phone charger? Should medicine be saved for emergencies? Should fuel be sold only to hospitals and delivery vehicles? Very quickly, people would stop thinking like customers. They would start thinking like survivors. The first things to disappear from shelves would not be luxury items. They would be basics: food, water, medicine, baby supplies, fuel, batteries, tools, and anything that can help people live without a smooth economy. This is the first big lesson. When money becomes useless, real-world usefulness becomes visible again. A designer watch may look expensive, but if no one trusts money, it may not help you eat. A luxury car may look powerful, but without fuel, spare parts, and safe roads, it becomes a metal box. A person with cash may feel rich, but a person with food, water, medical supplies, land, tools, or useful skills may suddenly become more valuable. Not because the world has become fair, but because the world has become basic. Now let's move to the banks. The first instinct of millions of people would be to withdraw cash. If bank balances feel uncertain, people want physical money. So they run to ATMs. They stand in long lines. They demand their savings. But then the terrible realization hits. Cash is not safety if cash has no value. An ATM can give you paper, but it cannot give that paper meaning. A bank can show you numbers, but it cannot force society to believe in those numbers. This is where panic begins. Banks depend on trust. People deposit money because they trust they can use it later. Banks give loans because they trust borrowers will repay invaluable money. Businesses accept digital payments because they trust banks, payment systems, and governments. But once trust breaks, the whole structure shakes. Imagine having a lifetime of savings. You worked for years. You sacrificed. You planned for your children, your parents, your future. And overnight, those numbers still exist. But they no longer protect you. This would not just be an economic crisis. It would be emotional. People would feel betrayed by something they believed was solid. Money feels real because we can see it, count it, save it, and spend it. But its power is invisible. Its power comes from belief. Now think about salaries. A teacher teaches. A nurse works. A driver delivers. A factory worker produces. An engineer builds. A farmer grows food. But at the end of the week, what should they be paid with? If wages are paid in useless money, workers stop working. Not because they are lazy, but because work must lead to something useful. A delivery driver will ask, if I deliver food all day, what will I receive that my family can actually use? A doctor will ask, if I treat patients, how will I buy food, medicine, or transport? A farmer will ask, if I sell crops, what will I get in return before my own family runs out? This is how a money crisis can become a production crisis. At first, money loses value. Then trade slows. Then workers stop. Then businesses close. Then supply chains break. And suddenly, even goods that still exist become harder to move. A city does not feed itself. Food comes from farms. Farms need fuel, tools, seeds, machines, workers, transport, packaging, warehouses, and markets. Medicine needs factories, chemicals, labs, trucks, cold storage, pharmacies, and trained staff. Electricity needs workers, equipment, fuel, repair teams, and coordination. Money is the signal that helps all these moving parts work together. It tells people, produce this, deliver that, repair this, save that, pay here, invest there. Without a trusted money system, coordination becomes extremely difficult. This is where the stock market would enter complete chaos. Stocks are ownership claims in companies. Bonds are promises to repay. Loans are contracts based on future money. Insurance is protection priced in money. Rent is agreed in money. Mortgages, pensions, taxes, subscriptions, business deals, international trade, all depend on the idea that money tomorrow will still mean something. If that idea dies overnight, every contract becomes uncertain. A company may own factories. But how should its shares be valued? A government may owe debt. But what does repayment mean if the repayment unit is worthless? A person may have a home loan. But if money has no value, does the debt disappear? Or does the lender demand something else? This is where society would face a dangerous question. Do old promises still matter when the language of those promises has collapsed? Because money is not only a payment tool, it is the language of economic promises. And if the language breaks, every promise becomes difficult to interpret. Now, what would people do next? They would not sit quietly. Humans have traded long before modern money existed. So trade would return, but not in the smooth way we know today. It would begin with barter. A mechanic repairs a generator in exchange for food. A farmer trades vegetables for fuel. A doctor treats a patient in exchange for rice, medicine, or protection. A teacher teaches children in exchange for supplies. A person with clean water becomes important. A person with transport becomes important. A person with repair skills becomes important. A person who can grow food becomes important. The world would suddenly remember something we often forget. Skills are wealth. Trust is wealth. Relationships are wealth. Useful goods are wealth. But barter has a serious problem. It is slow. It is awkward. And it depends on coincidence. Suppose you have shoes and you need medicine. You must find someone who has medicine and also wants your shoes. If they do not want shoes, you need another trade first. Maybe shoes for rice, rice for fuel, fuel for medicine. Every exchange becomes complicated. This is why money was invented. Money solves the coincidence problem. It gives society one common thing that everyone accepts, even if they do not personally need it. A baker can sell bread for money, not because the baker wants paper, but because the baker knows someone else will accept that money later. That is the magic. Money works when people believe other people will also believe in it. It is a shared agreement. A chain of trust. If that chain breaks, the paper is just paper. The coin is just metal. The card is just plastic. The app is just pixels. So what would replace money? In some places, people might start using goods that are widely needed. Food, fuel, medicine, clean water, batteries, tools, gold or silver. But even these are not perfect. Food spoils. Fuel is dangerous to store. Medicine expires. Water is heavy. Gold is hard to divide and not directly useful for survival. Tools vary in quality. And no local object can easily replace a global money system. Some communities may create their own local tokens. A town might say, "We will use food coupons." A factory might issue work credits. A local government might create ration cards. A digital community might create emergency points. But the same question returns. Will people trust it? Will shops accept it? Will workers accept it? Will suppliers accept it? Will people believe it will still work tomorrow? Because the real problem is not paper. The real problem is confidence. Now governments would step in. They would not wait. A collapse in money value would threaten food supply, healthcare, public order, trade, and national security. So governments and central banks would try to rebuild trust as quickly as possible. First, they might freeze prices for essential goods. But price freezes can create shortages if sellers do not want to sell. Then they might introduce rationing. Each family gets limited food, fuel, medicine, or basic supplies. This can prevent chaos, but it cannot run a full economy forever. Then they might create emergency currency. A new note, a new digital unit, a new government-backed payment system. May be connected to essential goods. May be connected to taxes. May be supported by gold, foreign reserves, energy, land, or strict supply limits. But none of that matters unless people believe the new system will hold. A government cannot simply print trust. It must earn it. People will ask, will this new money lose value too? Can I buy food with it next month? Will my salary be paid in it? Will taxes be accepted in it? Will businesses use it? Will other countries accept it? This is why stable money needs more than design. It needs institutions, rules, limits, transparency, production, security, and a society willing to cooperate. Money is powerful when people believe the system behind it is strong. That system includes banks, courts, central banks, governments, businesses, workers, laws, markets, and public confidence. When those pieces work, money feels simple. When they fail, money becomes a question mark. Now let's pause and ask the most important question. Why does money have value today? A common answer is, because the government says so. That is partly true. Governments give money legal status. They collect taxes in it. They regulate banks. They protect payment systems. They punish counterfeiters. But law alone is not enough. If people lose faith, legal words cannot make money feel safe. Another answer is, because money is backed by something. Historically, some currencies were linked to gold or silver. But much of modern money is not valuable because you can exchange it for gold. It is valuable because society accepts it as payment, governments accept it for taxes, banks use it, businesses price goods in it, and people trust that others will accept it tomorrow. In simple words, money has value because it is useful, accepted, limited, and trusted. Useful, because it helps us trade. Accepted, because others take it. Limited, because unlimited money would destroy confidence. Trusted, because people believe it will work in the future. Remove trust, and the system weakens. Remove acceptance, and it collapses. This is why inflation scares people. Inflation does not mean money has no value. It means each unit buys less than before. If it becomes extreme, people rush to spend money quickly before it loses more value. Shops raise prices. Workers demand higher wages. Savings shrink. Trust weakens. In the worst cases, money can become almost useless. History has seen countries where people needed bags of cash for basic goods. But our question is even bigger. What if every form of money lost value everywhere at once? That would mean a global collapse of trust. Not just in one currency. Not just in one bank. But in the idea of money itself. And that is why the consequences would be so deep. Because money is not just part of the economy. It is the operating system of modern life. It decides how work becomes income. How income becomes food. How savings become security. How investment becomes factories. How taxes become roads. How prices guide production. How strangers cooperate without knowing each other. Money allows a farmer, a truck driver, a shopkeeper, a software engineer, a nurse, and a teacher to all serve each other indirectly. They do not need to barter face to face. They do not need to know each other. They only need to trust the same system. That is the hidden miracle. Money helps billions of strangers cooperate. So if money lost its value overnight, the world would not simply lose cash. It would lose coordination. Cities would struggle first, because cities depend heavily on supply chains. Rural areas with food production might survive better at first, but they would still need fuel, medicine, parts, and tools. The rich would not be safe just because they were rich yesterday. Digital billionaires could see their wealth vanish as fast as numbers refresh on a screen. People with practical resources and trusted local networks might become more secure than people with huge bank balances. But this would not create a perfect world. It could create fear, inequality, hoarding, conflict, and exploitation. When money fails, people do not automatically become generous. Some cooperate, some panic, some protect their families, some take advantage. That is why restoring trust would become the biggest mission. Not just trust in money. Trust in society. Trust that shops will open. Trust that workers will be paid fairly. Trust that food will arrive. Trust that rules will apply. Trust that tomorrow will not be worse than today. Eventually, a new money system would probably emerge. Because humans need one. It might start locally, then regionally, then nationally, then globally. At first, it might be linked to essential goods. Then it might become official. Businesses would slowly price products again. Workers would accept wages again. Banks would reopen under new rules. Debts might be renegotiated. Old savings might be partly converted. Governments might guarantee basic supplies until stability returns. But the recovery would depend on one thing above all. Can people believe again? Because once people stop trusting a currency, rebuilding that trust is extremely hard. It is like breaking a mirror. You can replace it, but you cannot pretend nothing happened. So what is the real answer to our question? If all money lost its value overnight, the first day would be confusion. The next days would bring panic buying, frozen shops, banking chaos, and broken contracts. Then barter and survival goods would rise. Governments would introduce emergency systems. Communities would rely on trust, skills, and essential resources. And eventually, some new form of money would be created. Not because paper is magical. Not because coins are special. Not because apps are powerful. But because society needs a trusted way to measure value, store value, and exchange value. The shocking truth is this. Money is one of the most powerful inventions in human history. But it is also one of the most fragile. It exists in our hands. It exists in our banks. It exists in our phones. But most importantly, it exists in our minds. A currency note is only valuable because someone else agrees it is valuable. A bank balance is only useful because society lets you convert it into real things. A card payment works only because millions of invisible systems trust each other for a few seconds. Every purchase is an act of faith. Every salary is a promise. Every price tag is a shared belief. Money is not just wealth. Money is trust made visible. So the next time you hold a note, tap your card, scan a QR code, or check your bank balance, remember this. You are not just using money. You are using one of humanity's biggest agreements. And like every agreement, it survives only as long as enough people believe in it. If money became useless overnight, the world would learn a painful lesson very quickly. The real foundation of the economy is not paper. It is not metal. It is not numbers on a screen. The real foundation is trust. And once trust disappears, even the richest wallet can become empty. Not because the money is gone, but because belief is gone. That is the invisible power behind money. And that is also its greatest weakness. This was WhiteBoard Lens, where we zoom into the invisible systems that control our lives. Thanks for watching.